Olino, Florida State Park. It's a busy place, folks. Not super busy, but I tell you what, the campsites. If you wanna get a campsite here, you gotta scout ahead. I mean, weeks, months ahead. They allow you in Florida to reserve a camping spot 11 months in advance. It's ridiculous. Here we go. Olino River Rise Preserves State Parks. And this is the park. We stayed up here in Dogwood. There's a Magnolia campground right here. What's two? Limestone Trail right here. You know, they could have parking, tent camping along this route. You know, wild tent camping spots with no services. Now, they got a large camp for group camping here, and then you can get wild camp back here at Sweetwater Lake. And you can come over here to the horse barn and you can camp. There's no services there. There's no electricity. There's bathrooms. There's men and women's bathrooms and showers, but there's no water spigots at camping sites there. But you have to supposedly come to the main park here, up here, and get permission to camp down here if they have room. But all this is horse riding trails back here, and these are bicycle trails. I don't know if you can ride bicycles on the horse trails or not, but and then you can wild camp here, walk down here. It's about 4 miles, I think, or 4 miles from here to here. And this is about halfway, so this is about probably 2 miles, 2.5 miles. Anyhow, that's it in a nutshell, folks. All right, hope you enjoy the tour. Have this pole right here. It has marking where the different floods were. So this first mark is 1984, 1991, 2004, 1998 the water got this high. 2012 water got this high, and then in 1964 the water was that high. So you look how far down the river is, that's how much it rose. All right, this is kind of a stairway here down to the docking area where everybody can go swimming if they want. Jump into the water. Okay. Down here. Walk down. I don't know how deep it is here, but there's a better picture of the bridge. Better picture of the bridge right there. I'll swim beyond that point right there. I don't know why that is. There's the bridge. This bridge. Back up this side here. Cedar log pavilion up in front of us here. Or a cypress, I should say cypress log pavilion. Kind of interesting. Got this all blocked off because I guess they had storm damage. Well, the state, in no hurry to fix this stuff. That's for sure. All right. Looks like a fellowship hall, a mess hall, or someplace to barbecue, have food over there. Look at the size of that pine tree. Thing's huge. About 2.5 feet round, maybe bigger. Another view of the bridge. No jumping from the bridge. They take the fun out of everything, don't they? All right. Let's look at a little history of the town of Alino. All right. Originally called Keno for a variation of lotto gambling. The town was settled in the 1860s. Ecclesiastical and commercial pressure changed the name to Lino in 1876. A grist and sawmill, cotton gin stores, and hotels sprang up in the settlement. Railroad construction bypassed the town, and by the 1890s, Lino became a ghost town. The site of Old Lino was purchased by the state as a park and forestry station in 1934. And this was printed in 1962. The history. Oh, squirrel. Oh. This doesn't have a lock on it. Whoa. That fell. It's like an old town hall in there.
It's another bouncy day.
River Ridge Trail. River Ridge Trail. Hey. This is the amphitheater. Because they have educational programs here. Interesting. Hit it. Did it with a cat on my back too. Notice that the water is no longer rushing down the river because it's coming to a point where it stops and it just goes underground. It's kind of just sits there like a pool. It doesn't swirl or anything. It just, water's just moving down underground. And it travels underground for about 3 miles. And then it comes back up out of the ground. I'll show you the video. I'll show you the map here in a minute. Here we go. Coming to the end. People from all over the state and country come to see this little wonder. It's my kitty on my back. I got him in a backpack. All right, so we're at this end of the river, and I guess only a little bit of it's been explored underground. And then it comes out 3 miles down the road. And all these little red lines is where divers have explored. Okay? Then it comes back up out of the ground right here, continues down to the Suwannee, Itchnatucky, which is way over here. There's the Suwannee. The Itchnatucky comes in right here. So this says the Santa Fe River is born in Lake Santa Fe in eastern Alachua County. Flows for 72 miles where it joins the dark waters of the Suwannee River, ultimately headed for the Gulf of America now, no longer Gulf of Mexico. Although it's all the same river, there's a big difference between the upper and lower Santa Fe. What's the difference? The upper Santa Fe River runs through a region of wet pine forests and swamps where there is an underlying layer of impenetrable clay. The rain that falls there is captured at the surface and returns to the river in slow-moving streams where tannins from decay, swamp vegetation, the water color of the tea. That's what changes the water color to look like tea. As the river flows westward, the landscape changes to a dry plain. There is no layer of clay. Rainwater sinks quickly through the sandy soil into the porous limestone. Bedrock flows underground to the river. The many sinkholes, springs, swallets, rises seen along the lower Santa Fe formed as naturally acidic rainwater dissolved the bedrock over thousands of years. Landscapes shaped by this process are called karst. Okay, so this search of the river. Before you as rivers sink, one of the most dramatic karst features of the Santa Fe River. This huge swallet takes the entire river underground, where it flows for 3 miles, mixes with groundwater, returns to the surface at the river rise. Cave divers have explored and mapped much of the underground path of the water between the sink and rise. As you can see on the map, the water flows through a complex of network passages, including parts of the old Bellamy cave system, and passes through multiple sinkholes, ponds, lakes along the way. More than 75 springs feed the lower Santa Fe River. Spring water, which comes from the Florida aquifer, is filtered by limestone and is remarkably clear. During periods of low rainfall, flow in the upper river decreases, and the springs, which contribute hundreds of millions of gallons of water per day, cause the lower Santa Fe to run very clear. However, in rainy periods, tannin-stained water pours out of the Santa Fe swamps and bottomlands, and the entire river turns brown. All right, so it's pretty interesting, all this stuff. There was an alligator out here yesterday when I walked down here, but I don't see him today. Which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't see him laying on the ground anywhere. There was a sign we passed over here that if you wanted to know more about State Park, you could dial a number and it would give you information. Show you that sign real quick. Let your cell phone guide you. Santa Fe River. Call 352-385-5351. Enter 115#. Call is free. Use of your phone plan. Minutes does apply. All right. Everybody's got unlimited, so it don't matter. So I guess if you want to get more information about the Santa Fe River, call that number and punch in those numbers and you'll get more information. Alrighty. There's a statue over here. Kind of another log cabin. Looking structure looks like a fort. here is a statue to the Civilian Conservation Corps. Alright. It's kind of interesting. It says Civilian Conservation Corps. I guess April 5th, 1933 through June 30th, 1942. Consisted of 2,876,633 American youth served in 4,500 civilian conservation camps restoring ravaged land in depressed America. Some of the accomplishments: 2 to 3 billion trees planted, 800 parks built, 3,980 historical sites restored, and 6 million days of fighting fires. Wow. 6 million days. Holy cow. Oh, now it's got to be a mistake. 6 million days? Come on. Fighting fires? We can take it. That was their motto. All right, so this is, again, part of the Civilian Conservation Corps, little museum. That's interesting. Oh, Teddy Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, I meant. FDR, one of the greatest socialist presidents we ever had. Yeah, I don't care for that president. He worked hand in hand with the Federal Reserve to destroy this country.
This is what's called superintendent. FDR. Yep.
Oh, some of the arrowheads found in the location here. Interesting. Supposedly the civil conservation corps built this building. Oh, it was a mess hall. That's what that building was over there, is a mess hall. Okay. They ate. A hot summer day out there swimming. Interesting. Polino State Park River Trail. Pictures along the trail. During the Great Depression and the Conservation Corps, Civilian Conservation Corps went to work. Cypress tree. shoulders. Used. Town of Lino grist mill. Don't know what a grist mill is. We'll find out here. Some of the big old turning wheels. Artifacts contained in this pavilion are what remains of the town of Lino's grist mill machinery. Just downstream from the suspension bridge, you can still see the remnants of the dam and rock foundation left from the grist mill. After viewing the remains at the river, one can understand its design and function, with the dam diverting and channeling water to a wheel that powered the grinding stones before other forms of power became available. The harnessing of the water for grist mills to grind seeds in the meal or flour was common throughout the United States. This small island on the east side of the river and its accompanying channel were a spillway for excess water to flow around the grist mill and dams to maintain river levels. In north and central Florida, corn was the grain of choice grown by most farmers for personal use and to sell in abundant. Grist stones, then seen here, would have ground the corn into a medium meal for breading or grits. Alright, and a finer weight for cooking flour. So that's where the grist, I guess the grist mill would come from, would get its grist for grits. I guess, right? There we go. There's some. The town of Lino, like many towns of its period, were developed because of agricultural business needs of the 19th century. Most Americans, as well as Floridians, farm smaller communities exist to expedite the business needs of farmers. Grist mills, sawmills, boat landings, and railroad stops were the center of these communities. Some good old days, huh? There's some old grinding wheels. Here it is right here. Look at that. Grinding stones. Huh. I wonder if they had to make those things out of granite, I'm sure. This town, like others that no longer exist except for names on maps, vanished as railroads, highways, and shipping lanes passed them by. Lino was bypassed by the railroad and suffered a devastating freeze which led to its demise. Poor Lino. But now it's a state park. Here we go. Wore out rock there. Interesting. All right, I think that's going to do it, folks. That's my tour of Lino State Park.